Hi, this is Bank, and you're listening to the Chapter of the Architect podcast.
Chapter 63.
You are now listening to the Chapter of the Architect with DJ Architect.
What's going on, my people? Once again, this is your homeboy, DJ Architect. I want to welcome you guys to Chapter 63. I got my homeboy, my guest co-host, DJ Razz. Razz, welcome. How you doing, brother?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Yes, thank you, Carlos, for having me again. It is a pleasure always to co-host with you and speak to great people, artists, producers out there in the genre of music. So I look forward to today's shows for sure.
That's right. And we have another special guest for you guys today, ladies and gentlemen. Today on the Chapter of the Architect, we have the talented freestyle artist who performs One More Shot, I Won't Stop Loving You, and has recorded the songs Perfect, Promise Me Your Heart, and I'm So in Love with You. It is our great pleasure to welcome Brenda from Bank AKA Joei Mae. How you doing, Joey?
Yeah. Nice.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It is our great pleasure. Our great pleasure. I was talking to Razz earlier today, and we were just so excited about having you. And big shout out to the homeboy, Sammy Zone, for making this connection happen.
Sir.
Thank you once again, Sammy.
Sammy coming through again.
Great.
He was great on the show. We love him. So thanks again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he doesn't get a lot of credit for a lot of things he does. He's a very behind the scene guy. He's really, really, really big.
Listen, he is a hustler. That man puts in some work. I love his energy.
Yes, his energy is great. I love it. I love collaborating with him on a couple of his projects too.
You know, it's funny. That's how we're actually why we're doing the interview now is because him and I, we were going back and forth where he sent me a bunch of different versions of Running Redux. And the Lemoore East version was one of my favorite versions because it had all you guys in it. We'll go into it later on, but when I heard you, I was like, man, who's that? And then I looked at the top right where it has the titles and the credits of who's on. I was like, oh my goodness, that's Bank. And automatically him and we started talking about you, and it was like, hey, you should have her on the Chapter of the Architect. And I was like, hey, can you please make that happen?
Oh.
And so big shout outs to him. I know I was supposed to have you last month or a couple of weeks ago, but some things happened and the schedules got twisted up, but nonetheless you're here, so thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate you.
Definitely welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited. Believe me.
Guys.
Thank you. So, Bank, you thought that everyone could sing and everyone had the talent. As a matter of fact, to be able to be a good singer, that's a huge talent. Talk to us about the moment of realization that you were like, wow, well, this gift is not for everyone. Tell us about that moment of realization, what it did for you, and tell us about your childhood growing up.
Oh, wow. Well, it all started with some cousins of mine. We were raised together all the time, always, doing things together. And we would do talent shows, create talent shows, and we would sing as groups and individually. Each one would take a part, and I noticed a lot of them, and I'm talking 5 years old, 6 years old, I noticed that a lot of them were singing off key. We were singing songs from the radio, but they were not singing them right. And I kept correcting them, and they would just look at me but that's what I'm doing. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah,
Come on, sing it right.
You toned
deaf.
And
then it dawned, it dawned on me. Do they not hear it? Like, how can they just not produce it? Like the sound, the right key? And then I realized later on, we were all in a big family van heading somewhere. And an uncle of mine who passed away, Tío Raúl, may he rest in peace, we were all singing again in the back of the van. When we got to our destination, my uncle told my parents, you better do something with her. She could sing. She has a gift. She could sing. And I heard them and I said, what's that supposed to mean? What the heck? Then I just started doing it more and more. And then there you go. When I was a teenager, my father said to me once, I would really like you to do something wow. Go to a real good high school, like the High School of Performing Arts, the High School of Music and Art. I didn't even know these high schools existed. And lo and behold, here I go. And I found out about them. I did my research. I went to audition and I was accepted to the LaGuardia High School of Music and Art, which Niobe and Betty from Sweet Sensation were also there.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was really interesting. That's how I just, worked up to the whole vocal thing. And here I am. It was pretty interesting and I love it.
C-Bank, just out of curiosity, during that time frame when you were, going through school and kind of refining the talent and the ability that you had now recognized, who did you look up to or who did you like to duplicate, let's say, in practice? Because I know as an artist and a singer, a lot of people just say, I'll sing some Marvin Gaye because of the inspiration it gives, the lyrics, the words. Who did you have in that aspect?
Okay, so as a young little girl, we didn't have a lot of money. So we had a huge living room with no furniture. I would put on my mother's robe, run around singing Diana Ross.
Wow,
that was
perfect
my
choice.
First girl.
Very
Diana
good choice.
Ross and Michael Jackson. I would pray every night that one day I could meet him and do a duet with Michael Jackson.
Oh, that was definitely some good dreams. I mean, anything was possible. Anything can be possible.
The Dancing Machine days. I used to do that song, and It's Too Late by Michael Jackson, and oh my God, all those great songs. And then Donna Summers and Barbara Streisand.
And now you were mostly always growing up in New York for the most part, as far as your career and growing up as a child. Okay.
I was born, raised, and I still reside in the Boogie Down Bronx.
There
yes,
you go.
sir.
Wow, the Boogie Down Bronx. Back in the day, C-Bank, I used to do a little bit performing, a little bit of singing myself. And we used to perform in this place in the Bronx off Pelham Parkway called Side Street. I don't know if it's still open or not.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we used to go up in there.
It's no longer. Yeah, I don't believe it's still open to business like that. I think they turned it into a catering hall.
Oh, man.
But yeah, Side Street, Jazzy J was upstairs. He used to live upstairs.
Yeah, we were. I remember there was a portion of the building that was upstairs, and this was probably one of our first gigs. And we were doing like, the 4-man piece harmony. This is after we kind of left away from freestyle, and we were upstairs and we were praying, I hope this gig goes good. And it did. It was it was dope. But so you reside from the Boogie Down Bronx.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So you're going through this school and they're pretty much teaching you all these qualities and the objective is to make you a better singer, or at least that's what you're hoping for, right?
Yes. You learn all the techniques. You learn breathing. You learn all about your diaphragm, how to control your breath. How do you hold notes? How do you, singing from the diaphragm? It's crazy. You would take like 5, maybe 6 classes of all vocal instructions of all sorts, and maybe 1 English, 1 science class a day, something
goodness.
like
It was very exclusive when you went to those kind of high schools.
Listen,
Yeah.
I wish I went to that type of high school. I probably wouldn't be doing what I do now. I mean, I really can't sing. But anyways, that is a curriculum that is so dope. It'd be Christmas for me every single day. I know you had to love that. You had to love that.
Yes, I did. I will say this. I was very young and it was far from where I lived. So when the weather was bad and things like, my mother didn't want me to go there. She didn't want me to travel by myself on the bus. I lived in a 2-way zone area, and I had to take a bus to the train to Spanish Harlem and walk up almost like 5-7 long Manhattan blocks. And it was crazy. So she used to keep me home a lot. That wasn't good for me, but she did. because she was so worried about me. So yeah, that became a little struggle for me, but it was good. It was good. I got a lot of training and I did a lot of good things there. I was part of the all-girl choir. I was part of the gospel choir. I was part of this junior choir. It was crazy. It's traveling all over the city, performing in many different locations, Trump Towers, Carnegie Hall, things like that.
Man. I mean, you definitely were receiving the foundation of what a musician needs in order to eventually blossom and become that butterfly of an artist that eventually makes the entity that you are.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Man. How many years did you go there?
I went there for 3 years and then I switched. Now, this is funny. I was nervous. I said, am I really going to do this for the rest of my life? I need a backup plan. So I actually switched. I transferred schools so that I can be part of the nursing program because I like that also. So I said, oh my God, I'm going to switch. No, it wasn't my junior year. I think it was the end of my second year or the beginning of the junior year. Anyway, I switched so I can have nursing as a background, as a backup plan.
Then that's good. I mean, it doesn't hurt to always have a secondary out, just in case the first one doesn't fall, go through.
Listen, that's very smart. My sister-in-law is a nurse, and she's making up to $38 an hour. So my hat's off to her. Very, very, respected profession. So absolutely. Yes. So you go to, or you attempt, or were you going to nursing school at the time, and how long did that last?
Well, I was in another high school, and that's where I started the nursing program. I was a nursing major, and I took music as a minor. But I had a lot of catching up to do because remember now, I wasn't taking all the academic courses and the credits that I was supposed to as a freshman.
Yes.
So I was doing a lot of night school, summer school, just to catch up with that. But at the end, I did it. I did it. They gave me some extra credit for gym because there was no gym whatsoever in the other high school. So, but I made it through. I finished everything. I had my music background. Now I had some nursing, and I was looking into going to college for nursing.
Okay.
But that didn't happen because I went for an audition.
Tell us.
Good.
Please
tell us. This is a good lead-in because now we want to know how did C-Bank come about. So that's what we want to know now.
Yes.
So one of my cousins from the group when we used to perform was a bouncer not a bouncer. He was the busboy in the Copacabana.
Wow.
There was a big table with some big wigs talking about an audition and looking for a female vocalist. He gave my name, my number. They called me. I went for the audition, and it was Eddie O'Loughlin and Mickey Garcia. Eddie O'Loughlin was from Next Plateau Records, and Mickey Garcia, as you know now, he's the big boss of Micmac Records. They auditioned me. He's the one responsible for the C-Bank, I Won't Stop Loving You. And apparently they had a problem with the young lady who was doing the song at the time, and they had to replace her immediately. So they auditioned me. I got the part right then and there. And they said, okay, learn the song. We're leaving to Chicago in 2 weeks. And I immediately just dropped.
Wow, to the ground running.
What? I said,
right away.
What do you mean?
Wow.
You're traveling. So now I'm traveling all over the town, all over going to Florida, here, there. So I had to put school aside.
Just to reiterate to the people who are listening, so they just recorded I Won't Stop Loving You, right?
Yes.
Now, you said they had an issue with the vocalist that recorded it, and she unfortunately was let go, fired, whatever you would say, and then they look at you, okay, you've got the skills, you got great talent, good vocals, would you like to step into these boots? And all of a sudden, you're up and running.
That's it. And I really had no time to prepare and rehearse, and it just happened so fast.
I can imagine the feeling of you all of a sudden, the moment you find out you're on top of a roller coaster and all of a sudden you're coming down super fast. And I'm not talking about coming down, but I'm talking about the adrenaline rush, the nerves,
absolutely,
the anxiety. My goodness, this is happening tomorrow. Oh, wow.
Exactly. That is exactly what happens. They usually people, when opportunity knocks, you just go for it.
You go for it, right? Yeah.
This was a moment for me where I could foresee a lot of not so good things happening, but at the same time, something great is happening. What do you do? And
go ahead. So I just wanted to know, what were your cope methods at that point, coping with this whole process that you were just enduring?
The best way I could do was just rehearse, and try to be as prepared as I possibly could be at the time. There was nothing else I was going to do. I wasn't going to say no. I was just going to go for it. And that was it. Now,
C-Bank, you just said that you knew it was going to be good things and bad things happening. Very insightful. I'm sure you were, probably still a young woman at the time. But when you you said bad things happening, what was going through your head and what were you categorizing as far as bad things happening in your head?
Well, what I was thinking about is, what is this young woman going to do when she realizes she's not going to be performing anymore, traveling anymore? Like, her world has completely paused right now. I didn't know what the future was. I didn't know if they were going to say sometime down the line, okay, well, we reconciled with her. Okay, so now you're no longer going to do C-Bank. I didn't know if that was going to happen. I didn't know if she was going to come after me and try to sabotage my shows, which guess what? She did. Wow. And so, yeah, it was tough. It was really tough.
I have to give you a lot of credit. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I've interviewed artists on the other end of what story you're telling now. And both stories are valid. But you were in a situation where you were thrust upon this opportunity. And in all reality, as a human being, I would probably say yes. I would feel empathy for the person that was fired, but here's my opportunity too. I have to live. I have a passion. I have an art, a talent. Here's my chance to spotlight that. So absolutely both sides have a story to tell. Now, when you,
another thing, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the other thing, because she was so new, they just recorded this record and pressed it. I said, well, I'm not going to perform someone else's record. Can we please go back into the studio and let me re-record it? And they were like, heck no, because the song was doing so well. They already pressed so many copies. I had to deal with that. So I was like, wow, this is really not cool.
I gotta tell you something. That song, to me, I remember that song playing, I think it was 1985, 1986 that it came out, DJ Razz. Is that correct?
Yes. Right? 86. Yeah.
Right? And I remember being a kid. I'm not going to give out my age or whatever, but I remember being a kid running around in New York in parties and backyards and, like all my little friends and like, the DJ was playing like all this freestyle music and that song in particular, and then Giggles would come out with Love Letter and all these other different songs, and I was like, oh man. But so to this day, and you and I, we were texting last night, it gives me goosebumps, just that moment of time and those songs. But now you're in a situation where you were signed to Next Plateau Records at that moment, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Now, I hear this story a lot. Were you able to get an attorney or a lawyer to take a look at the paperwork? What happened?
Well, no. Unfortunately, I didn't have the finances to hire or retain a lawyer. So, no, I just stuck it out. I stayed with Next Plateau while Mickey Garcia, as you know, was in the process. Through all of this, Mickey Garcia was setting up Micmac Records, and he was making his exit from Next Plateau. So I was pretty much left with Next Plateau and no producer. And then Next Plateau tried to find producers for me. There was one gentleman that was recommended. I started working with him. And unfortunately, that turned into some kind of a relationship for a little bit, and nothing happened. Musically. And musically. And that was pretty much the end of that until I met Carlos Barrios and Frank Reyes.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get...
actually, Frank...
I'm sorry. I was going to say, we're going to get to that later, but DJ Razz, I'm sure you got something to say. I'm over here gobbling up all the time.
No, you're fine. You're definitely enlightening the audience with great information. So being that you had already gone through this process and you did now, kind of lead in, Carlos got excited about hearing Carlos Barrios because he was definitely a producer for us growing up that when we were DJing, seeing his name on a vinyl and seeing that After Dark edit and wanting to play and see how it sounded and all the glory of the music and the production that he puts into it, what were your ambitions to know what he kind of had in plan for you as a performer, as an artist, and what kind of projects do you feel that you were excited about with him?
Well, that when I started talking with when I met them, they were letting me hear things that they produced, and they were Lizette's Together Forever, rough demos, things like that. And I was really interested. However, I was still tied up with Next Plateau. They wanted me to come on board with them and work with them at the time, but I couldn't at the moment. I was still tied up. And so they just went and did Lizette's album, and that was pretty much it.
When were you able to then, let's say, come around and finally partake with them? Is it more as what we're seeing now as the production, or was there a point where you were able to go into that?
No, there was a point where I realized my ties with Next Plateau, I could walk away. There came a time where I said, okay, it's time. I'm able to walk away from Next Plateau now and see what I can do. And I reached out to them, I believe. And that's probably when we started to do Joei Mae.
Okay.
That's probably, yeah. Because then, I went back to school and I tried to do my degree and things like that. And that's about when I started to do Joei Mae with Carlos.
So you had a big break in your in your singing career, if is what you're kind of saying.
Right.
Because as the name Joei Mae, and I apologize, was not a name that I recognized as for freestyle. But funny enough, when I did listen to the song again, I was like, you know what? I have heard this song. But for whatever reason, it was just not the way we knew it as, let's say, a performer as C-Bank or,
right.
Lisette Melendez or, Judy Torres that we are so familiar with. But it was definitely songs that were getting out there, that were getting airplay. And as I listened to it again for the first time, I was like, I recognize this song. I remember hearing it. Because they all had that catchy tune, and Carlos had that way.
The Carlos Barrios, yeah,
that Carlos Barrios feel, passion of freestyle. Yes.
Well, when Carlos did that whole project with the After Dark Records, he had a couple of artists under his label. Frank came up with a great idea of getting a couple of artists and kind of trying to go around in a van and let's go to city and perform and things like that. Unfortunately, freestyle had no platform in New York anymore. It was off the radio, but it was still happening in other states.
Oh yeah.
So for instance, sure. when we did the After Dark, the Joei Mae, Promise Me a Heart, I believe it was Priority in California distributed. They picked it up for distribution. Priority? I hope I'm getting the right word. I think it's Priority Records in California. It was, we were with Jay-Z, everybody, we were all under the same, I think, Will Sokolov. That's how I met Jay-Z and them. It it just kept happening. So I was traveling as Joey Mae. I went to Montreal. We went to California, San Diego. We were going all over the place on the West Coast with Joey Mae because of Promise Me Your Heart. And that happened. That went on for a little bit. So that was fun.
Yeah, from what I could tell, that was produced back in '96. So it's definitely way out of the timeline in which freestyle had already gone through its forceful time frame. But was Joey Mae, was there more songs that you produced with Carlos at that point, or just the one Promise Me Your Heart?
It was, well, He's My Baby. That was the first Joey Mae song, He's My Baby.
He's My Baby.
Which was actually, right, it was released as a single under Joey Mae, but it was originally from Lizette Melendez's first album.
Oh, so you just re-sang it, or what happened?
Yes. We redid it because they felt, the guys, Carlos and Frank, felt that it was a very good song and it should have been released as a single from Lizette's album, but it wasn't. So they saw me as an opportunity. They saw, we could do this song with Brenda and let's see what happens with He's My Baby.
Because it was such a good song, okay, this will be a single for Joey Mae. Makes total sense.
Exactly.
So, listen, we're going to go back and forth, guys. You were, at the time, you were under the name, we're going back in time now, guys. You were under the name Gemini's, right? And
yes,
you were, at that time, you were signed to Next Plateau Records, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, can you please explain the situation that happened with the record label, the individual Diamond Eyes, who sang on I Won't Stop Loving You? Is that correct? And Jenny Burton, who sang on One More Shot. Now, all these individuals fall under the umbrella of C-Bank. Now, I know we spoke shortly before we press record, and you pretty much stated that, well, C-Bank was almost like a moniker, like a concept of one with Tony Moran and Noel, different artists under one title, correct?
Exactly, yes. So there isn't one original C-Bank. Each C-Bank, each person who did a song under the umbrella was a C-Bank. C-Bank number 1, number 2, number 3.
Exactly.
And I'm number 4.
Listen, I when you and I were texting last night and then you were telling me certain things in the text, I was like, what is she talking about? Because as a fan, and me and DJ Razz are big fans, believe it. And, I was unaware of what you were talking about. And as we kept texting, I was like, it hit me. I was like, oh, now I understand. Now I know where the concept of Joey Mae comes from. It was Brenda attempting to depart from this thing that wasn't really her entity and becoming her own person, right?
I was trying to reinvent myself. Exactly.
It totally made sense. But, you and I, we were like chatting and texting in spurts. And I was like, well, what do you mean, stuck in this situation? I didn't understand, But,
boy.
But
it hasn't been easy, guys.
I see. Listen, I have empathy for you, Mama. I really do.
Thank you.
Nonetheless.
But at least we got our chance to put the little clarification into perspective here on the show.
Explain the situation, because a lot of us were unaware. But then, listen, we would look at the credits on the vinyl, and then you go to YouTube and you see Gemini, and you see Jenny Burton, and you see all Diamond Eyes. Like, who are these people? What's going on? So this is a good platform to clarify all this situation.
And I never try to take credit for the songs. I always make sure everybody knows. Shout out to Jenny Burton, my sisters Diamond Eyes, the C-Bank family. You know what I mean? I'm who I am.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be them. I'm just bringing to my fans the memories of C-Bank.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Brenda, tell us about the recording process of I'm So In Love With You and Perfect.
Wow. Okay, so I was a young girl. All I had training in was opera because that's what I was learning in my high school. And Mickey Garcia decided this was going to be my next song. I didn't think it was in the right key for me. But back then, a lot of the producers, we were all very, very new. Everyone, this whole new dance music craze started, and everyone wanted to produce, everyone wanted to sing. So I think we were all very new to the process. And when we went into the studio, I told Mickey Garcia, I said, I think this is in the wrong key. Like, I can't really sing this high. No, don't worry about it. Just do it and I'll change it. I'll fix it.
Wow.
So when I'm singing, first of all, I walk into the room and there's like probably 50 men in this room. And I'm a little skinny girl. And so I was so, oh my God.
I can imagine.
It was a mess. And, you know, and I just did the best I could. And then what he did was he just sped it up to speed up the beat later on. And I felt like it made me sound like Minnie Mouse. But hey, it worked. I don't know. That's what happened.
That's true, because when you speed up the BPM, it brings the pitch up a bit.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So now that's what people are hearing. I'm performing the song. I'm not that high. You know, it was just crazy. And then I'm So in Love with You. It was with Alvin LaBasse. Alvin LaBasse, he did the background vocals with me. That was fun. It was a better experience. It was in my key, so that was great. And I think you can probably hear the difference between the two tracks, how I sound a little more comfortable in I'm So in Love with You than Perfect. But everyone loved Perfect. Everything was, you know, it was perfect. Going around. Everybody, it was perfect. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody, but again, that's when Mickey Garcia was stepping away. And I don't think enough attention was given to those songs at the time. The Next Plateau was busy with Salt and Pepper.
Yeah.
You know.
I see. Yeah, I feel
yes.
you. I feel you. You know what? I like the way you utilize Push It in your intro for your live shows. I think that's dope. Well, you know why I'm seeing that. You know why I'm looking. Of course. That was pretty dope. Spice up the crowd. Absolutely. That was pretty dope.
Yes.
But that's where we were heading, technically. We were kind of hand in hand with a little bit of the hip hop and stuff and the rap, but it still hadn't taken that force. So a lot of these producers, I think, were starting to see what the next new thing was. And that's where, you know, things started to take that change of hand.
Yes, absolutely. I think so. And you know what I feel also, what didn't happen with freestyle? Freestyle never evolved.
Yes.
Hip hop evolved.
Yes.
From day one. You take a hip hop track today and a hip hop track from 1980, and it's very different.
Yeah.
And it's okay. They owned it. They made it theirs, and it is what it is today. And we still call it hip hop. We didn't do that with freestyle. It didn't happen. Everybody, unless it has a particular sound or a particular speed, the BP, it's
the BPM.
Right, the BPM, it's not considered freestyle. And I just so disagree with that so much, but it is what it is.
I'm going to say this, and I'm talking out of the sequence of questions that I'm looking at right now, but I think a big folly that a lot of freestyle artists, maybe not the artists, but perhaps the producers and the artists for allowing it to happen, is the Planet Rock instrumental, the beat. It's way overused. Come with some originality. It's funny because I just recently, I wrote a freestyle song. I'm a producer as well, so I produced the whole thing. DJ Razz got a copy of it. A couple of our buddies got a copies of it. So I'm trying to get this project together, and then my buddy says, hey, look, I took it to the studio, and the engineer, producer, he put the Planet Rock beat behind it. It sounds so dope. And I immediately, capital letters,
Again?
No. Hell no. Stop. Do not rape my song. Absolutely not. Do not do this. Let it be in its original form, but it was nice when it came out. It was groundbreaking, but we need to go ahead and move on to greener pastures. Let's not reinvent the wheel, people. It's very, very boring. Very boring.
Yes.
C-Bank, and I know I'm calling you different names here, and I apologize, but
it's okay.
when you saw Mickey Garcia leaving to go start Micmac Records and you're still with Next Plateau Records, did you feel, I don't know, an emotion of, oh man, all my resources are leaving me, my weapons are leaving me, my hope is leaving me? How did you feel?
Abandoned.
Yes, because I would kind of feel the same way.
Abandonment of
I would feel the same way. Right. Tell us about that.
I felt, Mickey, we developed a great friendship, and he would let me hear Cynthia's new song, Judy Torres, Johnny O. I knew what was coming. And I'm like, but how come I can't have this one? But I like this one. Can this one be my next one? And he was like, no, but this is for her and this is for him. And because I'm on Next Plateau and he's trying to build up Micmac. Yeah. So I definitely felt abandoned. And I think probably subconsciously, I kind of like held a little grudge against him, resentment, something because of it. But people have to do what they have to do too. And he already was on his next project, and there you go. So I just knew I had to do something for me. And I was too young and I just didn't have enough experience to know what to do exactly.
It's sort of like you're in a situation where you've trained for something just like everyone else inside your realm or your lane has trained for. But you see all these people getting on the rocket ship and you're buckled in too. But like, hey, man, gas attendant, fuel it up. Their rocket ship is taken up and they're gone, and hurry up. Give me fuel. I got to go too. Come on. That's got to be so frustrating.
It is. It was. But listen, oh my goodness. And at the same time, you're probably looking around the record label, looking at producers, probably wanting to smack them in the mouth and say, hey man, get out your ass and get up and get me a hit. Let's make something happen. Yeah. Was Next Plateau not really putting in the effort or inspiration to try to push out the next banger for you? I felt that they weren't. So I did what I thought I could do, which was call for a meeting with the big dogs. And I did, because that's the way I am. I can be. That's all I could do. And try to get them to find a producer for me. And they did. They got this one producer for me. But like I said, that he also had he was a one-hit wonder kind of thing. He had one big hit and then that was it for him as well. I don't know. He's doing a lot of other things now, but I really don't know what he's doing. But I'm saying at the time, he was trying to feel his way too, as mostly everybody else was. So.
So yeah,
I'm sorry,
okay.
Razz, go ahead. I was going to say let's not knock the one hit wonders, because if I was to have a one hit wonder, my house would be paid.
You don't need anymore, right?
That's it.
For real.
Well,
it's gonna get all the airplay.
I'm just saying he was as experienced as I was, and that wasn't really much. That's all I'm saying.
Joey, I'm teasing. I'm just running my damn mouth. That's all I'm doing. Go ahead, DJ Razz. Let me stop interrupting you guys. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. So, C-Bank, so being that at this point you're kind of seeing not doors closing, but opportunities not showing up, for you to do more to keep that music going and kind of owning something more than whatever you were recognized earlier on. Where were your thoughts at that point? Like, what was your mindset as far as saying, well, is this it? Is this over? Am I not going to be able to continue with this? And eventually, how did the next opportunity come about from there, if it did?
Well, this producer that I was working with kept trying to find another song. This one didn't work. He would take certain songs. He took a few songs to Eddie O'Loughlin. Eddie O'Loughlin didn't like them. And at that point, I kind of just started settling. And it's not good to settle, but that's what I did, because it was like I hit a dead end, Mm-hmm. And I even tried to audition. Now, Sal Abatello and all these other promoters and record labels knew who he was. And I thought he would probably put in a good word for me and try to help me go somewhere else,
Right.
but he didn't. And I heard Sal was auditioning for Cover Girls. I wanted to audition, but they didn't take me serious. I don't know if they didn't know that I was singing or I was a singer or what.
Well, do you feel that and just because we know that you came from C-Bank in this sense, now that we have a little bit more clarification, do you feel that was maybe what could have kept you from actually making a name for yourself as an actual freestyle performer? You know, like we all know, like, you know, the normal mainstream that we came to know?
I don't know. I know that, you know, they knew C-Bank wasn't me. It was the company. So maybe they didn't want to deal with the company. They knew he was a producer. They probably didn't want to step on his toes. I really didn't know. I didn't know what they were thinking or... And then that was it. I just decided, let me just go back to school and let me just have a plan B.
Well, that plan B you did discuss, and hopefully it was something you were able to get into again, you know, with your nursing.
Yeah.
So where are we kind of like fast forwarding a little bit now, Carlos, at this point, and kind of seeing where?
Let me go ahead and catch up. So now, Joey, you're introduced to the legendary Carlos Barrios through songwriter Frank Reyes, right? Shout out to Carlos.
Yeah.
You know, he was on he was on the chapter of the Architect as well. DJ Don Q and I love us some Carlos Barrios. Even till this day, me and Carlos will still like text, hey, because he sent us you know what? Never mind. I'm over here taking up time. But nonetheless, we got a lot of love for Carlos Barrios. So big shout out to Carlos. So you meet Carlos, a great opportunity for you to work with such a talented producer and super editor. How did that work relationship come about? I mean, I'm sure when you met him, you know, you might have said, hey, I'd love to work with you, but how did that relationship, as far as both of you coming together and saying, okay, yeah, let's work together. Tell us about working with Carlos as well.
Well, we met when he was DJing at Lemoore East. We met back when I was performing as C-Bank.
Oh,
so we
is that
knew,
right?
Yes. Yes.
There you go.
We already knew each other. Frank, the point was they wanted to work with me back then when Mickey made his exit, but I was still tied with Next Plateau. So that was just put on pause. Carlos and Frank ran with the Lizette project. And then a couple of years later, in the 95-ish year, is when Carlos came up with the idea of doing this After Dark record label with all these artists. And they asked me to be a part of it. That's when we went back into the studio and recorded He's My Baby, Promise Me Your Heart. And that's what we did.
That's when you started recording under the name Joei Mae under After Dark Records,
yes.
Correct?
Frank came up with the name. Frank said, you need, because Frank, they know me. They know my personality. I'm not the girly girl. I'm not the average girly girl. I was a tomboy when I was younger. So I got a little rough edge, a little tough edge to me. And I usually speak what's on my mind, and I try not to. I'm not easily intimidated. So Frank said, you need an androgynous name like Joey. I said, oh, I like that. Hey. And I'm born in May. So, hey, Joei Mae. Hey, and there you go. There goes my country girl name. That's what I call it. Yeah, my country girl.
Hey, guys, another DJ Architect exclusive. You just found out right how Brenda C-Bank got, the moniker Joei Mae. How you like that one? Tell us about the recording of My Baby and Promise Me Your Heart.
He's My Baby. I knew the word inside and out. The song. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I knew the song. I love Lisette's album. That album was fire. It was so great. His songs, his melodies, the way he writes, I love him. I don't know if too many people pay attention to his songs, things he's written, and wait till you see what's coming out. Woo! What he has done. Sammy Zone's next song, Watch Out.
Oh, here we go. See?
Oh man.
That's right, baby. That's
fire.
Right.
Wait, just
that's
wait.
Right. That's
so,
right.
He's My Baby was really pretty simple for me because I knew it. I had changed up the melody a little bit or the timing, and I just added a little flavor, a different type of flavor to it. And they loved it. So that was easy. Promise Me Your Heart, I said, I want this to be a personal song. I want you to write about this, A, B, and C. We were in the studio, excuse me, and as Frank was writing line for line, I was recording it line for line.
Oh, no way.
It was, yes. And let me tell you, it was amazing. I loved it. He expressed my every sentiment perfectly in that song. It's a true story about that guy from back then.
Wow, man.
And it's such a personal, I just love the song because it was like custom made for me. You know what I mean? It's my favorite song of all time. And Frank did a great job. And that's my baby.
Have you ever attempted to write like songs for yourself? Have you ever attempted to sit down and write?
You know something? It's funny you asked me that. I was having a conversation with someone and I said I never tried it because I felt as if it would be a mirror to my soul, and people will know exactly what I'm feeling, how I'm hurting. And I don't know that I want to reveal that. You know, it's deep. It's deep. No, I haven't tried it, but I'm ready. I'm ready to try it now. I've been talking to a couple of people. I'm really nervous, but I'm ready to give it a go.
I'm gonna tell you something. You should try it, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because the moment that you put your own feelings on paper and you have someone come back and say to you, wow, I can relate to what you put down or what you recorded. And it could be word or it could be musically. Like, what if it comes from you? And remember, you know, recording vocals is great too, because you could still touch a person's heartstrings.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you something.
I want to try. Listen, I'm speaking to you on my own mic. I got my headphone.
There it is. Well, do it. Because I'm gonna tell you. When you write your own music and you write your own lyrics, people fall in love with you. Not in a sexual manner, but they fall in love with your soul. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
just the way people fall in love with your vocals. Now it's a deeper level of connection. So I would encourage you. Do it, mama.
Wow.
Do it.
I never thought of it like that.
Yes, man.
That's nice.
I'm gonna tell you, because I play guitar too, and I hear certain guitarists, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how did this individual come up with that specific melody or chord? It's beautiful, and it gives a deeper level of gratification or respect for their art. So I would encourage you, do it. Music's a lovely thing, absolutely. DJ Razz, I've been talking enough. By all means, jump in, my brother.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with you 100%. Brenda, you should definitely write some music. I mean, listen, freestyle for me is the genre that has stayed with me. I am the hashtag freestyle freak forever because the music, how it was portrayed, was the breakups and makeups of the love story. Yeah. So it's a storytelling genre for me, big time. I mean, there's songs that touch me in my heart in different ways because it meant something at a time period in my life, being with friends or someone that I felt for, the whole thing. So I think taking that opportunity and actually putting some of your feelings into it will make it, you'll own it, it'll be yours. And that passion behind it will probably shine through. And if you're working with people like Carlos and Frank Reyes, they will take care of that and they will put it forth and it will definitely get out there and it'll be recognized.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to think about that. Yeah.
Brenda, your fans are just gonna love you more. Me and DJ Razz just gonna love you even deeper. You know what I'm saying? So crack that bottle of wine and champagne and hit us over the head with it, baby girl. You know what I'm saying?
That could be dangerous.
Tell a whole story. We don't want to, we don't want to hear, you're trying to do things that you're not supposed to. Let's not go there either.
That's the truth, Cyril. That could be dangerous.
Exactly. Hey, listen, Brenda, tell us about working with Carlos Barrios. How was that experience?
Carlos, wow. Carlos, he's a perfectionist. And that's good because he's going to make sure I sound good. And I love it.
I agree 100%.
That's what you want.
I heard the show.
That's what you want.
No.
Yes.
You want producers like that. I think if we had more Carlos Barrios back in the beginning, I think this genre would have done a lot better.
Yes, flourished.
I think hands down
Exploded.
at some point, Carlos kept it going, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He kept freestyle head above water for a long time.
Well, when they came out with the Lizette album,
Lizette Melendez,
that was considered the new school. School
that
style.
double beat, the whole
goodness.
And the funny thing is that he shopped it around for so long, and everybody was like, pass. Yeah. We don't want
about a year. He shopped it around or something like that.
We don't want grilled cheese and tomato soup. What do you mean you don't want grilled cheese and tomato soup? That's a classic, baby. Come on now. You're gonna shove this down your throat with the military boot. You're gonna take it. You know what I'm saying? But the individual, he's groundbreaking, and the way Lizette Melendez put down them vocals. Ooh, Lord have mercy. He's a perfectionist. I salute the man.
Absolutely.
So we got to interview the brother Sammy Zone not too long ago. Shout out to Sammy once again. Listen, he sends me these different versions of Running Redux, and I was blown away from the Lamour extended versions. I know we spoke about this earlier. Listen, you got KL from TKA, you got yourself, you got George Lamont, and you got Sammy Zone. Totally blew me away. I sat there, drinking my adult beverage, and I was like, holy crap, they've taken freestyle. This version of the song by itself has taken freestyle to the next level. Like everyone else after this, you can't come weak, baby. You gotta come up on this level or going. Better.
Well,
that was
Sammy
a great thing.
Does it again.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that fantastic performance. Please tell us about the recording process.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but Sammy and I have been working on that maybe like 7 years ago or something like that.
What?
That song we recorded those vocals like 7, maybe even 10 years ago. Yep.
Wow.
That's how that song was on the shelf for a long time. And then Carlos, we, lit the fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Come on, Carlos, let's do this. And Sammy got him to do it. And come on, let's, he kept pushing him. And because you remember, Carlos was now doing film. He's editing and doing all these things, music scores with film. So Carlos didn't want to. Didn't want to do anything with music for a while. Yeah. So he put that song on the shelf. He was too busy with the movie industry. And then finally he said, okay, I'm back. What are we doing? And Sammy said, running. Let's get this song done. So, they mixed it up different. They did a couple of different things. And that's how we, that was his comeback song for Carlos, I guess.
Well, and not only that, you're reprising the roles of some of our well-known artists. You're now putting yourself in a place. See, Sammy Zone said it himself too. He goes, "Listen, I have now come to light to the freestyle genre much later in the game than a lot of people, and he's starting to get that recognition and respect that he has been overdue. And I feel like you have that same position in where your respect in the genre has not been recognized and given the proper, hey, this is who we need to know about. And with you coming in with the collaborations, because I say collaborations, because I know that you've also worked with Lisa Melendez and one of her productions recently that she did with Judy and Lisa, which is Rise. Very empowering song, very strong, meaningful song. The video kind of plays into that. They did a full video on it. I've watched it. And so this is what I like to see about these our performers, and our performers meaning the people that we grew up with, that we recognize for what it was back in those days. And I feel that freestyle is starting to take a little bit of a reformation in a different way. And I think the newer generation of people and kids and who we are, hopefully will start to catch on and see what this is all about. And maybe we could bring it forth in a different 2.0 version.
Yes, that would be great. We can't give up. We have to just keep, doing more songs, collaborating, writing, and hopefully it will step up to another level of some kind.
They're out there performing. These guys are out there. I mean, I disclosed this a while ago in a couple of the shows. There's a big cruise in February hosted by Cynthia, and I'm going to go there, and I'm super stoked and excited. Me and my wife are going to go, and a few friends and family. But yeah, I love to see stuff like this, and I follow all the guys, and I see them constantly working and keeping that genre alive.
Yeah, they do. And the fans that still come today.
They have sold out that cruise probably 4 times already. They keep adding and they sell out.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great. And every time I do a show with them, I make sure I let the fans know I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you very much for keeping us alive. And you know what I did recently, I don't know if you guys saw it. I put out a video for all my DJs who supported me through the years. And I'm doing a lot of radio drops for them.
I need a drop. I need a drop.
You need it?
I saw that. I saw that.
Email. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I saw that, but I couldn't text you because I was at work and I got a call and I was like, "Oh man, I gotta go." I said I'm gonna text her. If she gonna be on the podcast, we got to get a radio drop. So I'm gonna hit afterwards. After we stop recording, I'll give you the information. We'll put your radio drop at the very beginning of this episode.
Oh, nice. Oh, that would be fun.
That'll be dope. Yeah. Absolutely.
That would be great. Yeah. Yes. I'm working on them. Every day I do a couple because it's a lot. It's very time consuming.
It is.
Because, the stop, pause, delete, pause, delete. You want to make sure it's right.
It is. But listen, you got to put this one at the top of the list because this episode is probably coming out in the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to need it probably within the next 7 days because I still got to edit it. But we got to put that drop at the beginning of this. But I'll get with you.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. No. You know what? Text me. Tell me what you want me to say. If you want me to,
I will
say anything in particular.
I'll text it to you. I'll text it to you. Exactly what to say, and then once I get it back, we'll put it at the very beginning of the podcast. And listen, your performance live, I gotta say, outstanding. Powerful vocals and
thank you.
Listen, thank you for those outfits. I swear to God, I think you may be 25 years old. Telling you.
Well, you must know I cannot take credit for that. My honey does all my shopping.
Oh,
hey, that's a good man.
There is not one outfit that I have picked out and purchased.
Listen, you make sure you make sure you cook that man a steak once a week. You hear me? That man is doing.
Something, he just stepped into my life a couple of years ago, just recently, just before I was diagnosed with cancer. I don't know if you know about that part.
We was gonna get into it.
But he's been pinnacle to my whole coming back as C-Bank and everything. Have you seen the CO2 cannons? Did you see the CO2 cannons popping off on my stage?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my honey.
Listen, big salutes and shout out to him.
Charlie. His name is Charlie.
Charlie, I did want to ask you this, and I'm kind of glad you brought it up because I was a bit nervous about bringing it up.
Being hesitant about it.
Yeah, hesitant because I've heard several people call you a survivor. I heard George Lamont called you a survivor. And when I saw the live performance a couple of weeks ago, the individual hosting the event, at the same time, he stated it as well. And And it made me think, and I was speaking with my wife last night, and I said, I think Brenda's a cancer survivor, but I'm not sure. And then she says, well, just offline, ask her. And I'm going to keep this in the podcast, on the podcast, if you don't mind. But,
That's
fine. But you would just acknowledge the fact that, you're a cancer survivor. And you know what? My heart goes out to you. Our heart goes out to you. But I was a little bit hesitant to ask you because I was unsure. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. No, it's fine.
And if you would, tell us about that experience. What type of cancer? What happened? I mean, obviously, you're here. So congratulations. Yeah. Lord loves you.
Thank you.
You're with us.
Oh, boy. Do you have a time? Do you have another hour? No. No. Well, you know what? I'll make it as short and sweet as possible, as I can possibly make it. I actually had a yearly mammogram, and one year in 2015, there was something suspicious. They did a couple of biopsies, and they said, "No, you're good." And then 2016, my doctor said, something, instead of doing the regular mammogram, I want you to just go straight and see a specialist, see a specialist. I said, all right, thank you. I went and I had to cancel all my patients that afternoon. I thought I was just going to go have a mammogram and then go straight to work. And it turns out that I had to have like 5 biopsies in that very same visit. When a couple of weeks went by, they needed 4 more biopsies. A couple of weeks went by, more sonograms. Finally, they called me. They said, come in, you have cancer, positive cancer of the left breast. Wow. I went in. She said, you have 2 areas in the left, so I'm recommending a mastectomy. The right breast, you'll have to continue to come for more sonograms, mammograms. I said, no, take them both. I don't care. Wow. There's a special, now this is for the ladies listening. There is a special technique called nipple sparing technique. And I encourage this because cancer cells are very sneaky. They're very tiny. You don't want to leave anything behind. So if you have something going on in 1 or 2 breasts suspicious, I highly recommend mastectomies to everyone. You keep your areolas and you keep your nipples. They do it from the side and you don't have the scar going across. I'm sorry, TMI, but hey, that's what we're doing here, right?
Absolutely.
That's fine. No,
absolutely.
That's 100% understandable. I do a lot of...
Once you mention mastectomies to a woman, she's thinking her vanity,
Right.
And they don't want to do it. And I highly recommend doing it. So when I had mine done, I had a double mastectomy in August. The pathology report came back and it said you had 2 areas in the left, but thank God you removed the right because there were 3 areas of cancer in the right that went undetected after 5 sonograms and 9 biopsies.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
This is why I am stressing this. So thank you for giving me a moment to say this and talk about it because this is for the ladies. I really want women to go get checked out and don't be afraid. New technologies will make things easier and simpler for you, aesthetically speaking.
And breast cancer right now is at a level where it is very treatable. And women can survive this very easily. And the reason why I know this is not because I've had anybody go through this process, but I am in the medical field per se. So I deal with a lot of doctors and information. And yes, I have heard this. And also for the fellas, like prostate cancer, this is a PA, public announcement. It is a very treatable cancer. So for the ladies, as if for the men, don't hold back. Get yourself checked.
Get it checked and get it done. And they found out that my cancer spread to my lymph nodes. So now it was stage 2 on one side and 1 on the other side. So I went through the whole chemo process. I went through the whole 25 days of radiation. Oh, wow. It was crazy. It was very, very it's a moment in your life where you say, okay, all this other stuff really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
It puts everything into perspective. It
Right.
makes you realize that, you know what, you cry and complain about stuff that's stupid. I'm not going to worry about other things when you have more important things to worry about. And there are a lot of people out there going through it. So I always, whenever I find out someone has cancer or they've just been diagnosed, I try to reach out. I try to be the voice. I try to help them understand that I understand what they're going through, because unless you have been through it, it's so different. You really don't know what the patients are going through. And it's big when you have someone who's been there and they're guiding you, as I had a relative. She was only 30, I think 35 or 36. And she helped me through, and she told me all the doctors to go to. I did that. And then when I was done with treatment, my 2 BFFs were diagnosed with breast cancer.
Wow.
And just this June, one of them passed away.
Oh, my.
And the other one, it came back. So she's dealing with metastatic cancer right now. And it's terrible. It's very, very, very sad. But that's it.
Well,
And just when I came back out to see Bank is when I got diagnosed. So I'm like, I just can't get a break.
Oh, my goodness.
but
But you know
Brenda,
what? Your personality, your demeanor, you're a very uplifting person. We could hear it in your voice. So I think overall that positive attitude is very helpful. And the person that has that give up feeling tends to fall into the shadows. And unfortunately, sometimes the worst can happen. So I think definitely keep up with what you're doing, because you're definitely helping yourself in that way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brenda, I want to, number one, I want to thank you for being so open and honest. You didn't have to, and I kind of sniffed it, hesitant to bring it up, but thank you for being so courageous to bring it up and talk about it, and being such a consoling voice for other women that are going through this terrible disease.
Awareness is key. And that's why I share my story without any hesitation. Awareness is key. And I just want everyone to take care of themselves. Yes.
Definitely.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on freestyle today, C-Bank? What do you think of the music that's coming out today?
Well, the music that's coming out, I haven't, aside from Sammy, there are a few artists who have some really nice songs out, but I think we need more music, more good quality music to come forward. I know Sammy's next song is going to be great. I have a remake that I've just completed with Carlos. That's going to be really nice. It's going to be fun, interesting. I have an original song that Frank did for me. Well, he did it a couple of years ago, and I've just been begging these two guys to let me do it. Please, come on, we can do this. Finally, they said, okay, Carlos finally said, okay, that'll be your second release. But first, we're going to release the remake. You know, Carlos always, so then he usually knows.
Mr. Remix Master.
Yeah, I listen, so listen, at this point in my life, after everything I've been through, I'm just going for this ride. I am taking it in one day at a time. Anything anybody wants, pictures, this, that, I am willing. Let's just do this. If it goes to another level, hey, let's go.
Definitely.
Let's take it to the next
We'll go
level.
for it. We're in a different time right now, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of freestyle issues going on out there. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
We should have been beyond that already.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can't be bothered with it. I had a lot of more issues to deal with. And it's just so silly.
Thank you for stating that. I think if freestyle as a whole would be a united faction, it'd be more successful, right? Like if you're gonna fight an enemy, don't you want everyone and when I mean enemy is different genres. And I'm not saying that we're fighting, and technically we're And I'm saying we like I'm a freestyle artist, but technically we're all fighting
point
for
we
the
wanted to-
attention, right, of the public, right? So
I think that's where it's going. People
Right?
fighting for the attention.
Yeah.
Who's more recognizable?
Right.
Who's going to sell more products?
yeah, who's better?
don't
Who's
know.
the king? Who's the queen? It doesn't matter. Like collectively get together, like support one another, big up one another.
Sure.
You know, don't tear each other down.
Absolutely.
As a genre, you guys should be upholding yourselves.
Yeah.
And you know,
I don't know where the competition is coming from. I really don't.
I don't
Really,
either.
The people
It's-
that
I don't
hold
get
this
it.
together, the glue of it would be the fans.
You know the way
Yeah.
the way I look at it is like the crab in the bucket type of scenario, like where the genre of music is so tiny that whatever spots of food or treasures trickle down, everybody's like, "Rah, mine, 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 mine."
Oh,
Snap, 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 snap.
You know, like there's not enough food to go around. Like, hey, relax. You know, to let everybody eat. You don't have to be so destructive and against your sister and brother. You know, but listen, we're not going to keep you on too much longer. If you could go back in time and give the younger version of Joey Mae Seabank or Brenda, two pieces of advice to help in the music business, what would you say to yourself?
Study your craft. Learn the business, and just work hard. Work hard, and that's where I feel my mistakes came from, not knowing enough. So education, no one can take that away from you. Any materialistic things can be taken away except education. What's in your brain, what you learn, what you focus on, no one can take that away. And if your drive is to become successful, whether it's the music business or any other thing in life, it's in your head. Learn it, study it, and go with it. Just go.
There you go. Now, you stated new music coming out. When can we expect that new music to come out and hit our ears?
I want to say probably the beginning of the year.
Wow,
That's exciting.
We're looking
Wow.
to press some vinyls, and from what I understand, that process alone is about 2 months. So in about 2 months, 3 months maybe. That sounds about right. The time frame.
That sounds about
There you
accurate
go.
for a vinyl.
Seabank, you are always going to have supporters with myself, DJ Architect, DJ Razz, DJ Don Q as well, DJ Droman, all these DJs that I know. We grew up in New York. We formed this DJ super club. And
Really?
I'm out here in San Diego now. The Marine Corps took me out here to San Diego. I'm out here now, so I'm always pumping your guys' music. DJ Razz is now out in Florida. DJ Don Q is out in New York. DJ Droman is still out in New York. So we pump and we spread your love all from east to west, coast to south. We love you guys. Where can people find your music, your upcoming events, your social media? Please give it out.
Oh, well, I'm on IG, Cbank Live at Gmail. That's the IG thing, Cbank Live. Cbank Live. And then I have the Cbank Joei Mae Facebook. And that's I only have Facebook and IG right now.
Okay.
So that would be it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
definitely with this digital age, it should be easier for us to be able to get, this information and this music out.
Yeah.
There should be no way to hold it back anymore.
Right. No. And with Carlos, come on. It's getting out there. We're working on that.
And
Definitely.
DJ Razz, do you have anything else for Cbank before we leave?
Listen, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. It's more kind of like a comment, and the struggles that you've gone through, you've kept it in perspective, and you've come back and put yourself forth. And I think this next chapter will be good, successful, and we only hope the best for you. So we just want to see more of it and more of you, and we're just hoping to keep this whole genre feel going.
Yeah, well, I'm not stopping. I feel like I have this moment, like this is it for me to really do what wasn't done years ago. And I am not stopping. There's no stopping me. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Brenda, in all reality, everyone who comes on the chapter of the Architect, I consider family for the time that they devoted away from their family just to speak with a couple of crazy DJs. It's just a great pleasure. And once again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being an advocate, fighting against cancer, being a cancer survivor, and just being who you are. Thank you so much. Do you have anything to say to your fans?
Yes, I want to say thank you, fans, for, like I said before, giving me this platform where I can share with my family, my children. Back in the days, I was too young, didn't have kids, but I do now, and they're like, "Wow, Mom, what is this? What's all this about?" But because of the fans, I'm here. They're there. They keep coming to see us. So thank you very much. Thank you guys for giving me also a platform to tell my story.
Yes, ma'am.
It hasn't been all, easy for me. I continue to try to make my place in this freestyle business. But thank you. Thank you very much for sharing my story, for allowing me to speak and explain my C-Bank woes.
Yes, ma'am. Well, listen, on behalf of myself and my guest co-host DJ Razz, we'd like to thank Miss C-Bank AKA Joei Mae for being here with us on the chapter of the Architect, chapter 63. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is a wrap. Thank you. We love you guys. Keep listening. We are out.
Keep love alive with performance.
DJ Architect.